Hey all, greetings. If I look tired, I've been at Worldcon for the last 3 days, selling the world building books, pitching stuff. And if you're one of the new viewers who have signed up, and there's been several of you lately, thank you. I promise we'll get back to world building in a little bit. But I am releasing a book tomorrow, April 1st. It's not an April Fool's joke, no matter what it sounds. And my tradition is to, the night before I release a book, to have a few drinks, reminisce, and here we are today. I'm drinking a Boulevardier, and one that I have aged in my own barrel at home, and it is very bitter and somewhat fitting in that regard. So give me a second to have a sip, and then I'm going to tell you all about Rites of Passage and some past to it, because this is my time and my channel, and I think I want to do that. So yeah, Rites of Passage, I've been talking about it a bit lately. This is an art copy that I really turned out very well. I'm quite pleased with it. Has its lovely iPod on the back, and if you don't know, it's a urban fantasy murder mystery whodunit, where a young dowser is roped into finding an enchanter who has disappeared within his own house. There's a whole bunch of magic societies, all secret societies, and they all have their own motives. And it's again a whodunit, and it's actually kind of easier to tell you what it isn't than what it is. It's non-Dresden, which is kind of fun because I've been trying to track down the noir influence and where it came from in urban fantasy, and it's kind of interesting because Dresden is such a big figure in it, and he's not the first. Anita Blake was before that, which is kind of interesting. But anyways, I'll talk about that another time. But someone described, as Dresden is like it chases down the mystery, which is not what I'm trying to do, and I'm doing it in a third person, which is almost unheard of outside of the upmarket, and it's could almost be considered cozy if you go by body count, but there's some cosmic and body horror in there, and probably too much for it to be considered cozy. So it's I can't figure out what its niche is yet, and I keep hearing in my head just someone yelling like, "Why don't you write to market? Why are you trying to do something new?" And anyways, I hope it finds its niche. I've got a lot of other videos that are about, how I design the magic systems, how I wrote the things, the societies, that kind of stuff. So if you are interested, please look at that. But tonight we're just going to look at my memories of it, which is kind of interesting. At the end of the book, if you get the ebook, I kind of threatened to release the playlist that goes along with it, and based upon how many reviews I get, because I'm not above bribery, I'll do some sample chapters, and if I get enough, I will release the original opening scene of the original screenplay, which I think I wrote in 2010. I went and looked it up, and actually wrote it several times, many different versions of it, but that is not the actual original screenplay version of it. The original one was a friend and I got together, and this is right after the first prequel Star Wars movie came out, and we were like, we're going to write the most marketable movie ever, and it's going to be space, aliens, and like this non-Yoda mentor, and it was weird and strange and never got off the ground, thank goodness. But Corbin and Mister, two of the most important characters, and their mentor relationship was born from that, and very, very different book. There were aliens. They were harvesting humans for their nervous system because it was easier than building one. Anyways, it was very, very different. And the screenplay version that I have, because I can't find that one anymore, but the one from 2010 was when I turned it into an urban fantasy, and a lot of the characters come from it. Kieran, Janice, a whole bunch of others come from that one. And I think then in 2014 I was like, well, I'm going to try my hand at writing for like a prose for the first time, and I followed the screenplay, and I got 90% of the way through the book, and I'm like, what was the screenplay version? I'm like, this isn't working, and I trunked it, and it's remained trunked for about 10 years. And anyways, back to it. Those are still not the oldest characters in the book. Isaac, who is the MacGuffin and the enchanter who goes missing, he is actually the oldest character, and he comes from an RPG we played in high school. I was the Eternal GM, and he was my wish fulfillment character insert. It was a vampire campaign. They were all vampires trying to kill each other at first until he showed up, and then they were trying to kill him, and then they all got stuck in a different dimension, and they had to work together, so it was kind of fun. And then at the very end, if they had just kept working together, they would have escaped, and they turned on him and stranded all of them in this other dimension. And I really liked the character, and whole new game system. A couple years later, it was in college, same guys, urban fantasy one, and that's where Rifkin comes from. He was the villain, he was the big bad in that one, and they had to escape, and they went up to Sherman, Texas, which is where this book takes place, because that's where I was going to college at the time, and they were searching for the guy that they knew would help them out, and they only knew his name, and it was Isaac, and well, they didn't even know his name. They finally got to the right place, and Alyssa, who shows up in the book, was there, and they eventually figured out that was the character that they had stranded in the last game, and it was revenge years in the making of them realizing they couldn't get to the next plot point because of what they had done in the past, and it was beautiful. And anyways, I used him in that, and yeah, campaign overlap, it was kind of fun. I also have used a house from a screenplay back. This was in what are they? Found footage was really the thing. I'd done a horror movie, kind of House of Leaves style horror film that kept getting attention, but no one wanted to do it, and it was at the tail end of found footage, and it never worked. But I kept that one trunked as well, and it came out in this book. And yeah, I don't know, I've used, in this system, I'm pretty much using every urban fantasy character that I made over the last 30 plus years. I've done, because for a long time I wanted to write epic fantasy, but I was in screenwriting. I knew no one would ever like pay money for that because it was really expensive. So I did a lot of urban fantasy and a lot of Vertigo, which was a huge influence on me. And anyway, so that's what a lot of this is, and I'm taking all of that, but even some of the stuff is very modern, like magic systems, which I developed for this one after the AALC, so it's in like the last 2 years. And that's what the lesson is of this rather hopefully short video from here on out is you can trump your ideas, but don't burn them. Remember the good stuff, take what works, discard the rest, and it makes a beautiful loam that you can, I don't know, cannibalize the ideas later, put it into something else. And so that's the lesson. Cannibalism is a good thing sometimes. Yeah. Rites of Passage, urban fantasy, weird niche in and of itself. I hope it finds its tribe. If it's not your cup of tea, don't check it out. For the next week, I think it's going to be $1 off from what it's going to be normal. My world building books will be on sale, so if you're new, go grab those for this next week. And if this isn't your thing, tell you what, go pay it forward. Go find someone that you do like and write them a review, because reviews are lifeblood to us authors. They what get us the next book, which keep us going and that kind of thing. So find someone that you do enjoy and leave a review. And thank you for listening to this beginning to be drunken rambling. Cheers.